Hello, my name is Deja. You may be wondering why I just use sign language. Well, I have an interesting statistic for you. Did you know that there are perhaps 300 languages in use around the world today? However, the exact number is unknown, and there are some sign languages that have yet to be discovered. It's amazing to see how deaf ones can communicate by using their hands as well as their emotions. I have always taken an interest in sign language and people who are deaf. I have a friend who had throat surgery when she was a baby, where her voice box was removed. She can talk, but she whispers. It's sometimes hard for people to hear her, so she uses sign language to communicate. Not only did she talk with her hands, but she also talked with her emotions. I wanted to be able to stand in her shoes, so to speak, and communicate from her point of view. I wanted to learn American Sign Language so that I can understand how they communicate through their expressions and emotions. By understanding how the deaf community communicates, we can in turn know how to communicate with them too. Tell me, have you ever met a deaf person? You ever noticed how they communicate? Did you notice their facial expressions when they're signing? Deaf people use facial expressions while they are using sign language to express their own emotions or to describe the emotions of others through the use of the same range of emotional facial expressions used naturally by the general population, whether they're happy, angry, or sad. Deaf signers have been shown to attend to faces to a greater extent than hearing people and show face processing advantages relative to hearing non signers. It is possible that one of the sources of this advantage relates to deafness itself, reflecting greater dependence on the visual channel for communication. Thus, deaf people attend more closely to facial expressions, facial actions, which serve communication whether or not they use sign language. Isn't it fascinating that an entire language was created for those who are unable to hear and talk? It is also amazing that a person can sign at the language native to them. But what is all involved in signing? Sign language is a visual language formed by and organized by hand gestures, body movements, and facial expressions. The American Sign Language alphabet, also known as fingerspelling, is used to spell out words that do not have a sign, such as people's names, like I did at the beginning, Deja. Now, you're probably saying that it's too difficult to learn and understand sign language, but there are other ways. There are other methods that we can use to communicate with deaf ones without having to know sign language. Either way, the deaf would appreciate your efforts to communicate with them. You can speak slowly so that they are able to read your lips, or you can even write down what you need to say. There's a benefit knowing sign language. There are some 10 million people and counting that are deaf or hard of hearing. Your efforts to communicate or try to communicate with them means so much. You can use your emotions, your hands, your lips, and even a pen and paper. Just because the deaf community can't speak using sounds like we can, they are still human, just like us.